HTS presents Championship Soccer from Reservoir Street Field on the campus of James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's the Men's CAA Soccer Championship as the George Mason Patriots take on the Tribe of William and Mary. We are greeted by a deceptively sunny and definitely cold day in the Shenandoah Valley, where the leaves have turned brown, but green and gold will dominate our championship match this afternoon. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CAA on HTS. I'm Bob Black. Green and gold, the school colors of both teams in the championship match today, George Mason and William and Mary. I'm joined by our soccer analyst, Richard Broad. And Richard, these two teams have more in common than just their school colors. They have outstanding traditions in CAA soccer.
Indeed they do. The last couple of years, this tournament has been dominated by James Madison, who won the last 2 years, but both these teams are very, very strong. William and Mary finished in the finals last year, losing to James Madison. George Mason's got a rich history. They've been in the tournament, the NCAA tournament, that is, 7 times. We have 2 worthy representatives in the finals today.
All right, let's talk a little recent history, how these teams got to the championship match. William and Mary has fairly dominated, a little bit of a struggle, and George Mason with the eye-opening victory over the host school, James Madison.
Well, William and Mary had a little bit easier route to the finals. They won handily over East Carolina in the first round, 5-0. They had to struggle a bit to beat American University 2-0 in the semis. George Mason, on the other hand, won 2 1-0 victories over Richmond in the first round and then over the host team, James Madison, in the semifinals to get to the final game.
Well, let's talk about the star players on these teams. We start with George Mason, the most prolific goal scorer in the conference this year, John Ferrandino.
The Magic Man, the captain of the Patriots, the CAA Player of the Year. He scored more goals this season than in 3 previous seasons at George Mason. He's had 18 goals this year, including this terrific bicycle kick off a throw-in in the semifinals to beat James Madison and send the Patriots on to the finals against William and Mary today.
Well, if he's going to get a shot like that past the goalkeeper today, he'll really be doing something. All CAA standout Paul Grafer of the Tribe of William and Mary.
He is an outstanding goalkeeper. His coach, Al Albert, feels he deserves to win the Adi Dassler Goalkeeper Award. And he also feels that Paul Grafer should be given consideration for the Herman Award presented to the outstanding player in the entire country.
All right, George Mason and William and Mary for a CAA championship and automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. Starting lineups and the start of our championship match next. Welcome back to Harrisonburg, Virginia, the CAA Men's Soccer Championship match today. The number 3 seed George Mason Patriots, 12-5-3 overall, and the top-seeded Tribe of William and Mary, 16-5. And take a look at the starting lineups. Richard Broad, first of all, for George Mason. What a difference their goalkeeper has made this year. Martin Nachman, the former junior college All-American.
He has been a star. He's really solidified the defense and had an outstanding season.
Meantime, William and Mary, Wade Barrett, the outstanding sophomore with 11 goals this year.
Perhaps the most active player on the field. Al Albert puts him in the middle of the park. He goes everywhere.
All right, our championship match underway from Harrisonburg on a cool, crisp, and that's understating it, sunny afternoon. William and Mary and George Mason for the right to advance to the 32-team NCAA field. And here we go. And the first shot of the match on a crossing pass. And that's Martin Nachman. And Richard, let's take a look at what you think some of the keys to this match are.
For George Mason, they have to play positively, by that with confidence, and take chances and go forward when they can. And they've got to capitalize on any mistakes, any opportunistic chances they have. And as we said, they need a big game out of Martin Nachman in the goal today. William and Mary, on the other hand, wants to keep the ball on the ground, work it quickly, try to attack wide because George Mason's defensive strength is in the middle, and they want to involve Billy Owens, their central striker. He did not have a lot of the ball in the semifinal game.
Oh, there's the first shot on goal, and it ricochets off of the crossbar as Grafer, even at 6'3", couldn't get up to knock that one away. And George Mason in the dark green jerseys. They are technically the visiting team here in Harrisonburg this afternoon. William and Mary in the home white. Scott Jolly, who's had an outstanding season and 10th in the CAA in scoring with the ball momentarily for William and Mary. He's got it there at the midfield.
A wake-up call early for Paul Grafer. I don't think he expected that early shot, and he very nearly got beat and put the Tribe in a big hole.
Remember, we'll be keeping our eye on John Ferrandino of George Mason, the conference's leading goal scorer, leading point getter with 45 points this season. As Richard said on the open, he's been a magic man. He's been the explosive catalyst of the Patriots' resurgence to the top of the CAA.
Tremendous season, John Ferrandino. Absolutely superb player all year long.
David McGowan trying to save it on the touchline on the near side, just unable to do it. It'll be a throw-in coming for George Mason.
I was speaking to Bruce Arena, the coach of the University of Virginia, about 3 weeks ago before they played George Mason. He's asking about John Ferrandino. I said, what position is he playing? And I told Bruce he's playing as an outside midfielder. He said, you've got to be kidding, someone to have that many goals as an outside midfielder. It's really unbelievable how opportunistic he's been.
There's a look at the series between these two teams. George Mason leading 13-11 with one tie. In fact, the Tribe has only losing records against two teams in the CAA all time, and George Mason is one of them. James Madison is the other.
Pretty good company that they're in. A lot of teams are going to have trouble with those two programs.
Goal kick coming from Martin Nachman, and we touched on a little bit, Richard, what a difference he has made coming over from State University of New York at Farmingdale, the junior college All-American. The transfer has really bolstered the back line of the defense for the Patriots. Billy Owens touching the ball and trying to center it at the top of the box. And George Mason booting it on out of there. Usa Kone on the touchline trying to save it and does. And Kone leaves it back for Marco Trigiani. Vincent Marco Trigiani into the midfield area for Chris Kohler. This is a very balanced George Mason team with the exception of Ferrandino. And we get our first foul of the match.
The difference in George Mason this year is they don't have any real stars per se.
Well, we know a lot of you are soccer aficionados, but we also welcome those of you who are just becoming soccer fans. Richard, some of the rules of the game to look out for. The two 45-minute halves, and of course the most important part there is the clock continually runs out of bounds, all the like, except, as you say, the serious injuries.
We're looking at two 45-minute halves. We got to consider the possibility of overtime. And looking also going ahead, we know it's in soccer that you get a yellow card as a warning, a red card is an ejection. But we have to keep in mind that 2 yellow cards and a player will be ejected from the game. So it's a very important factor to keep in mind. In a highly contested game like this, the players must keep their composure and not pick up 2 yellow cards or a red for that matter.
We've seen some physical action already here in the first 5 minutes. Just a moment ago, you saw Greg Richards of William & Mary colliding with Musa Kone of George Mason. So the action already physical here in the first 5 minutes.
Just as I expected it would be. One thing to note is the position of the ball is the determining factor in whether the ball's in play. Looking at our graphic, if the ball is inbounds, if it's any part of it is still on the line, the ball has to go all the way over the line to be out of bounds in the sport of soccer. This is different, say, than the sport of basketball, where it's the position of the player. The ball determines whether the ball's in or out in soccer.
Steve Jolly with it at the top of the box, leaving it now for Billy Owens, and back for Wade Barrett, but he's unable to control as George Mason converges on him and comes up with the ball. This is Kone on the left flank, losing the ball momentarily, but Chris Kohler comes up with it, and then he loses it to David McGowan. He'll try and center it across for Owens. Too far for him, and on the far side, Chris Scrofani comes up with it for the try. Scrofani trying to go one-on-one into the middle of the field, where Andy Manners for George Mason boots it away up ahead to John Shields. And that'll go across the touchline and will be a throw-in for George Mason. You're talking about the out-of-bounds. Remember, fans, you keep your eye on the ball at all times. That sounds like an old baseball cliche, but keep your eye on the ball and you'll know whether it's out of bounds or not.
Started to say earlier, Bob, that George Mason doesn't have any real stars. John Ferrandino's had a tremendous year, but his season has been a result of hard work. He's a plugger, he gets in, and all the Mason players are like that. They've had some great players here in the past. Joseph Adu, Tamir Linhart, Michael Reynolds, just to name a few. But this year's team, Gordon feels, is his most cohesive. He doesn't have one man they go to all the time and just look for constantly, whereas it's a team balance, the team chemistry has been tremendous.
Chris Scrofano trying to center the ball, but unable to do so, right into the waiting arms of Martin Nachman, the 5'11 junior out of Glen Cove, New York. What a acquisition, if you will, he has been for the Patriots. As we said, the junior college transfer. And he has really made a difference, Richard, on a George Mason team that last year allowed 40 goals, dropped it down to 23 this season. I guess the goalkeeper gets too much blame when goals are scored and maybe too much credit when they're not scored, but in this case, Martin Nachman's made a difference.
Absolutely. A goal scored or a goal allowed is a team effort all the way. George Mason has a very fine defense, spearheaded by Mark Ryan, number 7, their sweeper back. He didn't get any all-conference honors, and Gordon Bradley feels that's a great injustice. We're looking at him on the ball now. He's had a terrific season. He's been a stabilizing force all year long.
Yeah, Mark Ryan, kind of a tribute to him, young man out of Manchester, England, as a sophomore, one of the co-captains of this team, along with Ferrandino. And George Mason with the throw-in. Chris Kohler, the 5'8" senior out of Centerville, Virginia, will do the honors. No score, our CAA Soccer Championship game. We're glad you've joined us wherever you tuned into our broadcast this afternoon. We played, about 8 minutes here in the first half. No score. Wade Barrett to midfield and into the offensive zone for William and Mary. Barrett, a young man, a sophomore, who's the first team All-CAA standout this season, and a Soccer America first team freshman All-American a year ago.
Brilliant player. If he can stay on his game and can control the middle of the park, William and Mary's in good shape. William and Mary's a little stronger in the midfield, and already you're starting to see George Mason, when they get the ball in the back, is bypassing the midfield and playing the ball all the way up top, looking for counter. The players like Marco Trigiano, Kone, and Shields, as well as Ferrandino coming down the right side.
Waughn Hughes with the ball for William and Mary, and he has his pass blocked away. We started to talk some strategy, Richard. We've got 2 outstanding coaches roaming the sidelines today, and Al Albert of William and Mary and Gordon Bradley of George Mason.
The record speaks for itself with both of those gentlemen. They've been here a long time, and they've really built outstanding programs. Both have done very good jobs. Contrast in the styles, though, of recruiting. Gordon has brought in a lot of players from England, brought in several players from Long Island, where he used to work. Al Albert, most of his players are from Virginia. We're looking here at Kone playing the ball in forward. Kochow just getting the ball off his foot, and David Chiffern clearing the ball out. Again, Marco Trigiano on the ball, and he's taken down from behind by Chris Scafani.
As we say, the play has been relatively physical here in the early going of our championship match. Well, you were talking about the recruiting philosophies of the coaches. 12 of the, top 14, I guess, for William and Mary from the state. And as we said, George Mason has gone overseas. They've got 4 or 5 foreign players, and really only about 3 or 4 Virginians amongst their top players.
Well, Al Albert has really recruited heavily in the state of Virginia, especially the last 3 or 4 years. And the nucleus of his team is from Northern Virginia and Virginia Beach, where he's been instrumental in helping develop youth soccer.
That's one of the Virginians taking the corner kick. Chris Kohler, the senior out of Centerville, for George Mason to Kone in the middle, but unable to control the ball, and it's kicked out of there by Chris Scafani. And back towards midfield, Vincent Marco Trigiani with the ball for the Patriots. And back to the midfield. And now William and Mary on the attack. Owens has Jolly on his left if he can get him the ball, but unable to do so. However, the foul comes.
We talked at the beginning, Bob, about how important it was for William and Mary to get Billy Owens involved. They've gone to him several times. He's got the ball now. He's coming through, and he's taken down to produce a restart at the top of the box.
And now the first real scoring threat, perhaps, for William and Mary. You see the green wall of the Patriots. There's the first shot, and it's deflected by that wall. But William and Mary still with the ball, and a shot on goal by Wade Barrett, and a great diving save with the right hand by Martin Nachman. That one was ticketed for the far low corner.
Great effort by Barrett. The ball came in and off the shot by Owens. It redirected to Richards, who laid the ball back to Barrett running on. He drives the ball low and hard to the far post, and a diving save by Nachman. That's where the ball should be taken, where the shot should be taken. Barrett did the right thing, and he almost beat Nachman at the far post. Magnificent save by Nachman. We said he's a key. He's come up with a big one there.
He has had 8 shutouts this season. I'm not so sure how he even saw that ball. It looked like his vision was screened, and maybe just his great instinct. He knew where it was headed.
He has very quick reflexes, and they've served him in good stead in that particular instance.
Martin Nachman, the 5'11 junior, in goal for George Mason. As we've said several times already, he has made a major difference from a year ago. Last season, the Patriots slipped under the 500 mark. They had 16 consecutive non-losing seasons before last year, but boy, they've rebounded in a hurry. And we should add, part of that 16-year run Our color analyst, Richard Broad, at the helm of the George Mason program. It seemed like just yesterday you were starting the Division I action at Mason, huh?
Don't want to comment on just yesterday. It makes me show these gray hairs, Bob. But it was a great program. Really enjoyed being there, work with some really outstanding young people, and that's really what it's all about in college soccer. You get to work with really fine young men in a great atmosphere. Played against some top programs like the one that Al Albert has at William & Mary. I have immense respect for him and for Tom Martin and Ralph Perez and Jeff Gettler and a number of these fine coaches in the CAA.
David McGowan coming up with the interception, and starting it for William & Mary, Waughn Hughes, who was their top scorer a year ago, looking on the left flank for Chris Scrofani. Scrofani fought off the ball by Mark Ryan.
Chris Scrofani's really getting involved in the attack down the left side for William & Mary, and that's important because John Ferrandino is playing opposite him on Mason's right flank, is going to have to come back and track him down, and if Scrofani presents enough of a threat, it's going to take Ferrandino out of the attack. Scrofani is an unsung hero for William & Mary. He's been a good player for him for all 4 years. Doesn't get a lot of headlines, just does his job steadily day in and day out.
Well, we haven't mentioned Ferrandino much, although he just committed the last foul, and now the kick coming for William & Mary. In front of the goal, and it's swatted out of there. No score. We've played about 14 minutes first half. George Mason and William & Mary, the CAA Soccer Championship, and now the Patriots on the attack. Marco Trigiani on the far side, trying to come over to the near flank, unable to do so as McGowan comes up with the ball towards midfield to Steve Jolly, who saves it on the touchline and boots it downfield.
That was a dangerous situation that last time. George Mason broke out from the restart, 3 versus 2 in a numbers up situation, but William & Mary's defense did very, very well, and nice work by Dave McGowan to get back and track down.
Take another look at it, Richard. We'll see again what you're talking about.
It's Marco Trigiano serving the ball across, and it was Chris Kohler who fell down on the far side. David McGowan coming up with a loose ball.
Play resumes at midfield. George Mason in possession. Mark Ryan into the offensive zone. Kone loses the ball as McGowan comes up with it and retreats to David Schifrin on the defense. No score as we approach the 30-minute mark here in the first half. On a cool, sunny afternoon here in Harrisonburg, George Mason and William & Mary for the CAA Soccer Championship. Good look at Greg Richards, the 5'10 senior out of Virginia Beach. And Al Albert in his 25th season with the Tribe, 290 victories, 3-time CAA Coach of the Year. He's guided this team to 21 straight winning seasons.
He is an institution in Williamsburg. He went to the school, he played lacrosse and soccer at William & Mary. He married a William & Mary girl. His son plays youth soccer in Williamsburg. He started the Williamsburg Soccer Club. The man, I think, bleeds green blood, and when he dies, they're going to bury him at midfield in Bush Field. Lift up the AstroTurf and bury Al Albert there. He is just part of William & Mary through and through.
He is the Tommy Lasorda of college soccer, huh? Bleeding Dodger blue and bleeding William & Mary green.
And they're very fortunate to have him. He is one terrific coach.
Taking them to 5 NCAA tournament appearances, the last one being 2 years ago in 1993, although many people believe, even though they lost last year in the final to Madison, they should have gotten in, although they didn't. And that's why they don't want to take any chances today, right?
You know, you never can be too sure. This is an automatic qualifier. By winning the CAA, you go to the tournament, and William & Mary would like to get in, as would George Mason this way. Watching Musa Kone coming forward, and he's taken down by Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter has been a cornerstone of William & Mary's defense. Transferred from Providence College 2 years ago. He's been outstanding in a very, very quiet way. William & Mary's got their stars. They've got Billy Owens, they've got Wade Barrett, they've got Steve Jolly, but players like Scott Ritter and Chris Scrofani have really done an important amount of work for them as well.
Kick coming up here for George Mason, fired towards the goal, and Grafer uses the 6'3" frame that he's got to go up and relatively routinely bring it down.
Nothing's routine when Richie Kachow hits a shot, though. He's a powerful left-footed shot. If he can get forward out of the midfield to take some shots, not just off restarts, but coming out of the run of play, he's going to be dangerous, and Grafer's got to be ready for that.
Wonder a little bit about the mindset of Paul Grafer today. We'll touch on that as the game goes along. Here's Waughn Hughes for the Tribe, but he loses the ball. And back to midfield, where the Tribe looks to keep it in the offensive end. Now John Shields to midfield. And again, the Tribe pounds it back in. Chris Scrofani tracking it down. And we'll have a throw-in for William and Mary.
Nice play by Craig Melton on the right side that time for George Mason. Another one of those marking defenders, and George Mason have done ever so well this year. I noticed today Gordon Bradley's moved Andy Manners into the back. He's played up front most of the season, but in this tournament he's been in the back. He's added strength to the defense along with Marcelo Gasparini. He's just been an outstanding player for George Mason throughout his career.
And our first substitution, Josh Quinter, sophomore, comes into the game. Another Virginian for William and Mary. He is in, and David McGowan will go out here in the first half. As we approach 27 minutes to go first half, the ball in front of the George Mason goal, but cleared out of there by Kotshaw. And here come the Patriots. Kone to midfield. He leaves it for Kotshaw, who hustles after it. Has an opportunity for the Patriots, looking to find Shields at the top of the box, unable to do so, but the Patriots still in control. Trying to get a shot on Grafer, who has not given up a goal in this tournament, Paul Grafer. And again, William and Mary's defense does a nice job. There's John Ferrandino on the far side. Quiet so far here in the first half, but I think the word we used was explosive. You never know when he's going to erupt. And I think the Tribe wanted a hand touch and didn't get it. Take another look.
They get it back anyway, but let's take a look on the replay, see if we can pick it out. Very, very close. Looked like Marco Triciano took the ball down with his chest to me, and it was a legitimate call, but William and Mary gets the restart on a goal kick anyway.
And talking about Paul Grafer, Richard, you know, last year he had a brilliant season. I don't want to say he struggled necessarily in the CAA championship game, but he gave up the 3 goals as you take a look at Gordon Bradley, the head coach of George Mason. And you wonder about Paul Grafer's mindset a little bit coming in today, not only to get a championship, but to play even better in this year's match.
Bob, you struck on something that's very important. Paul Grafer has been absolutely brilliant for William and Mary. But last year against James Madison, he did not have a good game. And I think he's got an added incentive today to come back and really show people. We've got a television audience here. He wants to show that he's the top goalkeeper in this entire country. He's a candidate for the national team, and he wants to play like it today.
There's a shot on Paul Grafer by Marcelo Gasparini, the 5'10 senior out of Brazil, but right into the midsection of Grafer, who makes the play. Well, he saw his goals against average .94, so that accentuates what you said. He's had a great regular season. And here's the last shot.
We're looking at Gasparini coming forward, left-footed drive, but it's right on. Grafer handles it like a good goalkeeper would. Gasparini doesn't get forward that much, and when he does, he's going to present a surprise element to the William and Mary defense. Marcelo Gasparini has just been so steady throughout his career at George Mason. Seems like he's been playing here forever. I think he's probably about 37, 38 years old. Every time you look at George Mason play, there's Gasparini in the back clearing something out or making just another terrific play. What a fine player he's been.
Saw the shots on goal a moment ago. George Mason already with 4. William and Mary's 2, which is a developing story in and of itself. William and Mary dominating in the first 2 matches, out shooting East Carolina and American Youth 35-15. But so far today, the Patriots have gotten a couple more shots on net.
But their shots, Bob, have come from afar. Long shots from midfielders coming forward, and that's good, but they've got to get more production out of their forwards. They've got 4 players they play up front. Musa Kone, John Shields have been the starters. They can also come off the bench with Alex Reyes and with Vida.
Here's Billy Owens with a shot on that misses the post away from Martin Nachman. An opportunity for Owens, who had the 3 goals in the win over East Carolina.
Emphasize what we pointed out, Mark Vida being the 4th player from George Mason to come in. But William Mary strikers, particularly this man, Billy Owens, are more dangerous in and of themselves. Here's Owens holding off the defender, shielding the ball, and then getting through. He's very good in tight spaces. He hits that ball to the far post. Nachman doing a good job to cut down the angle, but that was a dangerous situation. I like to see Owens get involved. He was not actively involved in the semifinal win over American. He's had a lot more of the play today, and he caused a lot of problems for defenses.
He's got the ball again on the good give-and-go pass to Wade Barrett. Barrett unable to get around Rich Kotshaw, however. You know, you were talking about Billy Owens, and you saw that he's William & Mary's all-time assist leader. He is 2 points away from becoming the school's all-time points leader. Billy Owens.
He almost had another assist there. A good one, too, to Wade Barrett at the top of the box. And only Richie Kochow, tracking down from the middle of the field, was able to save a potential goal that time.
There's Billy Owens, 5'9" senior out of Virginia Beach, and you see some of his impressive statistics with 111 career points. And he has been a Rock of Gibraltar. He started all but one game in his 4 years at William & Mary. And here comes the Tribe again with Wade Barrett right in the middle of the field. And now onto the left flank for Chris Scrofani. Scrofani tries to center and unable to do so. And now William & Mary starting to attack a little bit more as the game moves to the middle portion of the first half. Although just as we say that, back comes George Mason. And again, more physical play and play allowed to continue.
They're not going to let Ferrandino get close to the goal if they can help it. Good hard tackle by Scott Ritter to win that ball.
Now Billy Owens looking for an opening, still looking. And back to Greg Richards. Richards leaves it as William & Mary sets up its offense. Scott Ritter attacking, tries to get it on the right flank to Hughes, but it's knocked away, and back comes George Mason. Good play, Chris Kohler. And now Kone right in front of the benches at midfield.
Called a foul that time on David Schifrin, but it's a decent foul actually because Kone had just laid the ball off to John Shields. Musa Kone, very flamboyant, creative player. He's not coming to his own like Gordon Bradley had hoped when he first came here a couple years ago. He got a goal against Virginia late in the season, and Gordon Bradley's hoping that Musa Kone can come on in the latter stages. No time like the present. They need a win today.
Yeah, they do. George Mason at 12-5-3 overall. William & Mary 16-5-0. Here's Billy Owens on the attack. He's got an opportunity as he heads in on Nachman. Takes the shot. Nachman with the save. The rebound comes out to the top of the box where it's cleared away.
Good effort by Billy Owens. A mistake by Andy Manners that time to give up the ball in the back, and Nachman's come up big like we knew he had to.
Now Chris Kohler taking off the ball, marked by Wade Barrett. And back comes William & Mary. Here comes Chris Scrofani on the far left flank. Looks to center to Steve Jolly.
Talked early on about Mark Ryan, the sweeper back. Gordon Bradley, can't say enough good things about him. That was a very dangerous situation. Very dangerous situation. Ryan stepped up to make offsides. We're looking back at the situation before this. Stolen ball by Billy Owens. He goes past Manners, drives a shot, and Nachman deflects, and it goes wide. But nobody there from William & Mary looking for the rebound. Steve Jolly's the guy that can look to anticipate that. Waughn Hughes, who got a lot of goals last year, not scored too much this year. Look for those players coming forward and getting on those rebounds. They're going to need that because you don't always score in the first chance.
If there had been somebody on the doorstep, they would have been able to put it home. You're right, if the rebound came right out in front, Nachman had no choice but to just deflect the ball away as Owens got a real good shot on goal from a difficult angle. See, we're still scoreless, under 20 minutes to go here in the first half from Harrisonburg, the CAA Men's Soccer Championship. Somebody today will end James Madison's 3-year run. The Dukes had won the last 3, including last year, beating William & Mary in Williamsburg. Billy Owens over the top of the goal and out of play.
The good coaches can adjust their situations as much as possible. Both these coaches have made subtle adjustments which make them stronger going into this game.
Now they look at Al Albert, the head coach of the Tribe of William & Mary. Bob Black, Richard Broad, and our entire HTS crew in Harrisonburg in the Shenandoah Valley, where George Mason and William & Mary playing for the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. The field to be announced tomorrow.
I want to go back to what I was just saying about coaches making adjustments. These two teams are solid teams. They're not going to need major adjustments, but they need little adaptations to the teams they're playing. Al Albert today has moved Waughn Hughes, who usually plays in the middle or up front, out to the right side at midfield, put Barrett and Richards in the center, and on the left side, Scrofani, where he usually plays, but he made a change in the back. He's brought on Josh Quinter, and this enables Paul Botta to play forward on the left side where he can go against John Ferrandino, leaving Quinter and Richards marking the two George Mason strikers. Obviously, Ferrandino is a man they have to watch. Botta has got the unenviable job, or let's say the big responsibility, of tracking John Ferrandino. How well he does that job is going to have a lot to do with how William Mary does.
Well, so far, they've done a great job on Ferrandino. We have hardly mentioned his name at all through the majority of our telecast, aside from at the outset when we showed his terrific bicycle kick goal from Friday. He hasn't really had a chance to get a shot on goal yet.
Substitution, Mark Vida coming on for John Shields. He adds a lot of speed to the George Mason attack.
And William and Mary again with the ball at the midfield. David Schifrin right at the center. And down the left flank and over the touchline and out of bounds. You know, we mentioned Richard, William and Mary losing last year's final to Madison. For George Mason, well, this is their first final since 1990. So, you know, they're happy to be back in the championship game. And that year, they were the #1 seed. Lost to Richmond in the championship back in '90. As we mentioned at the outset, a lot of green and gold today and white. Those are the school colors of both teams. George Mason in the darker uniforms, the green jersey tops. William and Mary in the white. And a horrific collision on the far side of the field as 3 players collide, and a little bit of extracurricular activities as well. We touched on it at the outset. It felt like it was going to be a very physical game from the opening minute, and it hasn't disappointed. Take a look.
It could be a very physical game. This is Steve Jolly from William Mary going in after that ball. He is very, very strong, very, very brave. He gets taken down there. He may have committed a foul early on Vincent Marcatrigiano, and then John Ferrandino came in a little bit later, did get the foul, and we're giving a yellow card. I believe it's to Steve Jolly, perhaps for something he said after the foul was called. John DeGardo, the man in the middle, has done a good job thus far keeping this game under control, because as you say, this could be a very, very physical match.
A little bit ironic if I saw that right. It looked like the two George Mason players actually collided with one another that started the whole thing, and then you saw the push from behind by William and Mary. So the play has picked up in intensity from a physical standpoint, although as we mentioned right from the first minute, there was a lot of bumping going on. Now Mark Vida, just into the game, has an opportunity, but he's marked off the ball, and Wade Barrett comes up with it for the Tribe and leaves it for Waughn Hughes on the near side. Richard, you mentioned earlier, he had a big year last season with 20 goals, only 3 this year. How come?
He's a very explosive player, and goals for front runners tend to come in bunches, Bob. Hughes had a great season last year. Obviously, he's been a marked man, and maybe the opportunities haven't come quite as easy, but he's a good player, and I think he's going to produce more maybe this year, and I'm sure he will next year in his senior season.
He was 7th in the nation in scoring a year ago with 20 goals, 7 assists for 47 points. Still a very effective player despite the drop-off in point production this year.
I like what Hughes did that last time, getting the ball and running inside hard with it, puts the pressure on the defense. I'd like to see him keep carrying that ball inside and maybe take on some of these George Mason defenders in the final third.
No score with 15 minutes to go here in the first half, as you get a look at Michael Botta, the 5'8" junior out of George Mason's backyard, right out of Fairfax.
Michael Botta, his job today is not to be brilliant, but to make sure John Ferrandino isn't brilliant. His job is to shut Ferrandino down. He's done a good job of it thus far.
He sure has. Kone with the ball on the left flank to Chris Kohler, and Kohler marked off the ball. Hughes comes up with it for William and Mary, and back to Gasparini at the midfield line. And now Cotshaw with it, as he's marked by Steve Jolly. Jolly, a very active player for William and Mary at the midfield.
Nice play that time by David Schifrin, the senior sweeper. He's had a remarkable career here at William and Mary. Son of an economics professor, he just came as a walk-on. Hardly played at all his freshman year. Barely made the traveling squad. Second year made the traveling squad, played a few more games. Last year was about the 12th, 13th man, came off the bench virtually any position. And this year he surprised Al Albert by earning a starting job. He's been the sweeper since about the 3rd game. He's been a tower of strength from the back. Big, strong, physical player, good tackler with great speed.
One of the many seniors on this William & Mary team. This is a very experienced squad. 10 of the 11 starters returned from a year ago. And a substitution now for the Tribe. One of their younger players, sophomore Nelson Worley, comes into the contest, a 5'9", 150-pounder out of Newport News. And you see Waughn Hughes. He'll get a breather for the half on the William & Mary bench.
I think that's exactly what Al Albert has in mind, to give Hughes a little bit of a rest. Maybe he wants to talk to him and maybe try to get him to put more pressure on in an attacking role like we talked about.
Wade Barrett for William & Mary. Leaves it for Greg Richards, and now all the way back for Scott Ritter. Ritter in on goal. Nachman comes out, leaps high in the air and grabs it.
Fine play by Nachman. The ball was put up a little bit too high by Scott Ritter, and Nachman controlling the penalty box. It's a mark of a good goalkeeper. A lot of times your great goalkeepers are not the ones that save the most shots. They're the ones that give up a few goals. They don't let shots get at them, and Nachman showed a good example of it there.
Quinter with it for William & Mary on the far side. Gasparini battles for it. Chris Scrofani comes up with it for the Tribe. And back to midfield. Now both William & Mary's men's and women's team playing for CAA championships. Remember, it was the women last week who eventually lost to James Madison. So the Tribe men trying to go back east on 64 and take the trophy with them today. Greg Richards onto the right flank now for Worley. Worley with a centering pass high over the goal.
William & Mary is a team that likes to hit long crosses into the box and attack the opposing defense at the far post. But George Mason is very good in the air. Nachman controls the area very well, comes out aggressively, and all their central defenders, especially Gasparini and Ryan, are excellent in the air. As I said earlier on, it's important in my mind, at least, that William & Mary play the ball on the ground. They've got quickness, and they want to use it. They want to work the ball wide and attack George Mason on the flank positions, creating goals from wide positions rather than trying to flight the balls in the box. I think that's the way that they're going to succeed.
Goal kick here from Martin Nachman out to midfield. You saw Paul Gray for a moment ago. All of a sudden, William & Mary has dominated from the midfield on into their offensive third, and Grafer hasn't had much action here in the last 15 minutes or so. Now Kone trying to get something going and unable to do so. Back to midfield where Chris Kohler will track it down. Kohler looking to center it, and again it's swept out of there. And Worley to midfield, Owens to the ball, and that'll be a throw-in for the Tribe.
Nice play by Andy Manners, beating Billy Owens to that ball. Josh Quinter came on about 15 minutes ago. He's throwing the ball in now. A very athletic player in the back. Came on as a substitute. Give William & Mary a little more athleticism and speed in the back. He's primarily marking Musa Kone. Sometimes he's going on Mark Vida, who have good speed, and Al Albert wants to neutralize that when George Mason tries to counterattack.
Throw in again coming for William & Mary as we approach 11 minutes to go. You see time and score lower right-hand corner of your screen. CAA Soccer Championship from James Madison University. William & Mary and George Mason scoreless.
Handball that time on Wade Barrett. Richie Kachow doing a nice job defending him.
And now George Mason into the offensive third, but a lot of white shirts are there. And Worley comes up with it. Looks ahead now for Billy Owens down the right flank. Here comes Owens being marked over here by Andy Manners. Owens leaves it back for Worley and back to Owens.
Watch it in there!
Owens tries to center it. Nachman into the air. Can't come up with it, but good defense by George Mason.
First mistake Martin Nachman's made today. He mishandled that one, and Steve Jolly, who's a tremendous header of the ball, was closing on the far post. George Mason very fortunate in that exchange.
Nachman rubbing those hands together, hoping that Stickham's going to work next time, I guess.
He gave up 4 goals against William & Mary the first time these teams played. He wants to make amends. He feels he's got something to show these players from William & Mary.
It's an interesting point, Richard. The meeting during the regular season was a 4-3 game in Williamsburg. Again, that one was played on the artificial turf, so it was even a quicker kind of game for the Tribe. I don't think there's any way we'd have a 4-3 game today.
No, I think teams in a conference final are going to tend to play it close to the best. Looking here at Owens getting in the cross. Nachman comes out for it and doesn't handle it cleanly. It could have been a real problem.
Now off of the corner kick, William and Mary with an opportunity in front, but the ball smothered by Nachman.
Smothered by Nachman, but a great play by Richie Kotschow. You won't read about that one in the box score, but David Schifrin was in to take a swipe at that ball as free, and Richie Kotschow cleared it away. Great play by a young man that I think is really a terrific player. He's just a dominating player in that midfield.
And then Grayfer at the other end, getting to the kick just before Kone could get to the ball. And now Barrett for William and Mary, but his pass is too high for Jolly to get to. And back to midfield. And the Tribe again, pressuring and attacking some more. Warley leaves it now for Barrett. Barrett onto the left flank, and a nice play made by Marcelo Gasparini to intercept. And George Mason now to midfield. Marco Trigiani onto the right flank. And a hard tackle by David Schifrin over there on John Ferrandino.
John Ferrandino showing his displeasure there, but William and Mary wants to let him know that they're not going to give him any kind of a chance. Schifrin comes in a little bit high on the tackle. I think it was a good call.
And again, they're staying right with Ferrandino, aren't they? They're not letting him get untracked at all.
And George Mason is doing something interesting. They're keeping Ferrandino up. He's not coming back. So essentially, they're playing with three forwards. Ferrandino is not in a withdrawn midfield position. He's played up most of the time today. So it means that William and Mary is matching with three players in the back, Schifrin being the sweeper behind Ritter and Bada and Josh Quinter.
John Ferrandino today, his 60th consecutive start for George Mason. And now here comes the Tribe again. Wade Barrett in the middle to Billy Owens, trying to get a shot on goal. Nachman with another brilliant diving save and clears it out of harm's way.
And that was a good one. It looked like he was screened on the shot by Billy Owens, who pulls the trigger very, very quickly, testing Nachman all the way. This is the shot by Owens. He drives it, and the keeper is missighted on the ball, and Nachman has to react at the last instant.
Now again, fierce action in front of the George Mason goal.
This is the kind of game that William and Mary likes to play. They're an excellent second ball team. They'll pick up balls that are knocked down from a header or a rebound, and they'll jump on it with that speed and quickness that Owens and Barrett and Hughes and Jolly all have. They're very dangerous. If you can let a ball bounce in your own box, you could be in a lot of trouble.
Al Albert and the Tribe will watch a corner kick coming here for William and Mary. Chris Scrofani, a 6'1" junior out of Virginia Beach, second-team All-CAA standout this year, first-teamer last year. There's the corner kick, and going up to get it is Nachman.
Scrofani took that kick from the right side. He's a left-footed player. He wanted to bend it in on the goal, but no one was there to challenge Nachman. William and Mary wants to get someone in and challenge him because he's going to handle those balls unless he's pressured.
Nachman gets it out of there with the kick into the offensive third for George Mason, where it has not been very much in the last 20 minutes or so. It has been dominated by William and Mary, but we are still scoreless. Chris Kohler right at the touchline on the near side. And the whistle does sound a little belatedly, but it did as the ball went over the line.
Getting back to the graphic we saw before, it was that ball all the way over the line. That determines when it's out of bounds. Chris Kohler obviously disagrees. Chris Kohler's been an interesting player. Came to George Mason, very unheralded out of Centerville High School. He has just gotten better and better every year he's been in this program. Real tribute to the quality of the program at George Mason, the quality of the competition they play, especially here in the Colonial Athletic Association.
A mistake there by the Tribe on the throw-in. Unable to keep the ball, and now George Mason will get an opportunity right at the middle of the field. Nice header by Jolly to midfield, and he comes back up with it again and attacks into the offensive zone. Crossing pass, looking for Wade Barrett on the left flank, unable to get to the ball. And the Patriots leave it at midfield, and the Tribe again looking to muster another attack. Marco Trigiani for George Mason. Onto the near side now for Mark Vida. Vida looks to make a move. And the crossing pass onto the far side.
Early on, George Mason was counterattacking very quickly. They're not getting forward as quickly on the counter as they were early in the game. And once William and Mary gets that defense set up, George Mason's having trouble penetrating.
Melissa Kone with the ball, but he's marked off it. Greg Richards comes up with it for the Tribe and leaves it now for Steve Jowey.
Greg Richards has had an outstanding game. He's a superb athlete, works very hard in the middle of the park. He's especially good in the air. You're not going to beat him in the air very, very often. Good header of the ball.
No score in our championship match. We're down to the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds of the first half. William and Mary and George Mason.
This is Mark Vita taking the throw in. He had the throw in that led to John Ferrandino's sensational goal against James Madison in the semifinals. William and Mary, obviously a scout of this, should be ready for it.
And the ball kind of ping-pongs around, but right into the waiting hands of Paul Grafer. Here's a good look at him.
Talked about it into his hands. That ball went off Barrett's head, and if the ball goes off a teammate's head, the goalkeeper can handle it with his hands. If it comes off his feet, if it's deliberately played back off his feet, he cannot handle it. But that time, Grafer did the right thing, took it cleanly with his hands after it came off Barrett's head.
Owens tries to get a shot away. It's blocked by Mark Ryan, the sophomore co-captain of the Patriots. Owens comes back up with it again. On the attack for William and Mary, gets a left-footed shot away that's well wide of the goal.
But Billy Owens keeps getting involved. He's an active player. They need to go to him, and he was very, very quiet against American University. He's had probably 5 or 6 shots already in this game. A couple of them have been blocked by defenders. But if he keeps working, one of these could get through. George Mason, I know, is very much aware of Owens. They put Andy Manners on him the whole time, and Andy Manners has got a big job to do today.
Now, Billy Owens, as you said, was quiet against American, but not so today against George Mason, and certainly not in the quarterfinal win over East Carolina. The Tribe now with the last 5 shots on goal, and it's a 7-4 advantage in shots for William and Mary. You mentioned Billy Owens had the hat trick in that game against East Carolina in the quarterfinals, 3 goals, and he actually did it in a span of about 17 minutes.
Statistic we just saw, 7 shots on goal for William & Mary is a bit misleading. They've probably taken another 4 or 5 that have been blocked by George Mason defenders. We said before, it's important for a goalkeeper to eliminate shots. Nachman is a very vocal keeper, and he organizes defense well. Plus, these defenders, Gasparini, Ryan, Manners, are all very, very experienced players, and they can get in the way of shots. They're accustomed to do that.
Richards loses the ball at midfield. Marco Trigiano comes up with it for George Mason. Patriots on the attack. Marco Trigiano still with it. Looking for an opening, and he'll have that pass intercepted. Worley comes up the right flank for William and Mary. He's got Owens on his left. Worley dribbles in, still with it. Looks to center, can't do so, marked off of the ball. Good play by George Mason.
Excellent defense. Mark Ryan just contained him perfectly till Chris Kohler came and won the ball with a well-timed tackle.
Kone to midfield. Marco Trigiani. And leaves it on the far side, and back comes the Tribe one more time. Down to the last minute 15 to go. Here in the first half, no score. The Patriots, Andy Manners, the sophomore out of England, to midfield and into the offensive third for John Ferrandino. Ferrandino looking to make a move, but he's well marked by Scott Ritter.
Scott Ritter is a terrier now. He picked up Ferrandino when he ran across the other side. William Mary's not going to track all the way across the pitch, as they might lose some of their defensive organization.
Throw in here for George Mason in the last minute of the first half. Gasparini on the left side, unable to get it going. And back to Chris Kohler.
No service!
Looking for Kone, and he's got it knocked away brilliantly. Terrific play by William and Mary, and here comes the Tribe, Billy Owens. Owens attacking the goal with 20 seconds to go in the first half. Tries to split the defense and can't do so.
He's a fine player, but you're not going to beat Mark Ryan 1-1-1 very often.
Now Jolly to the top of the box, unable to get a shot away, and George Mason clears out of harm's way in the last 10 seconds of the half. And Grafer very safely will just boot it to midfield. And there's the horn, bringing the first half of the CAA championship match to a conclusion. The goalies have been standouts. Paul Grafer of William and Mary, Martin Nachman of George Mason. They're both throwing shutouts at halftime. William and Mary and George Mason scoreless at the break. numbers from first half action here this afternoon. Richard, after a good start for George Mason, including a shot that hit the crossbar, William & Mary has dominated.
They have dominated indeed, and some of those shots didn't even reach the goalkeeper. Probably more than 7 shots total, but several of them were blocked by that excellent George Mason defense.
And William & Mary with a couple of corner kicks to 1 for George Mason in that opening half, although as we said, we are scoreless at 0-0. All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half. Take a look at Martin Knockman in goal for George Mason.
Here's Billy Owens winning the ball, battling, getting through a couple defenders, driving a shot which Knockman managed to save at the very last minute. And we're looking now at one of the important things that's happened in this game. William & Mary defense has been very, very steady after some anxious moments in the first 5 minutes of the game. They're very well organized, and you're getting a good look at the organization in the back for the Tribe here.
Good team defense, and finally, speaking of defense, they have really bottled up John Ferrandino.
He's a marked man. They don't want to give him a chance. And here's David Schifrin, their sweeper back, coming in very, very hard and causing John Ferrandino some pain, both physical and psychological.
Well, John Ferrandino, part of that all-CAA first team. There's a look at the other guys who were standouts during the regular season. Paul Grafer, you're watching in this contest, the outstanding goalkeeper for William & Mary, and the rest of the first team, 1995 in the Colonial Athletic Association. Take a look at the second team, standouts, and again, some of them participating in this game, including Steve Jolly from William & Mary, one of the outstanding midfielders in the CAA, and the rest of the second team, all Colonial Athletic Association in 1995. We've talked about him a lot, John Ferrandino. We tip our cap to him one more time, the leading scorer in the CAA, the Player of the Year for 1995, the Rookie of the Year from the University of Richmond, their outstanding goalkeeper, Adrian Clulo, led the CAA in save percentage. And finally, the Coach of the Year, Ralph Perez, out of Old Dominion, 4-3-1 in CAA play. Great job by Coach Perez and the Monarchs. Okay, here we go. The second half, we're scoreless. One of these teams could be 45 minutes away from an NCAA berth. We will find out as second half action has commenced. Bob Black and Richard Broad, plus our entire HTS crew, and we're glad you're with us for our championship match. As we mentioned, much of the first half dominated, Richard, by William & Mary, and now we'll see if it's interesting, how interesting it'll be to see if they can keep that intensity up and translate it into a goal.
They're a tough team to keep off the boards more than one half. I noticed that Albert has brought Waughn Hughes back into the game after giving him a rest.
Oh, here's Ferrandino with an opportunity, but a good play down on his knees by Grafer, as Ferrandino finally got unleashed here in the first half minute of the second half. The Patriots in the dark jerseys, the green tops, William & Mary in the white jerseys, acting as the home team here on James Madison's home field. And certainly a little disappointment here at JMU that the Dukes aren't back in that championship game for the 4th consecutive year with it in their home field. But Richard, we really should say a good crowd is here today. Without the home team here, they still come to support the Patriots and the Tribe and college soccer in general.
Excellent attendance today. It's really a tribute to the effort made by James Madison to promote this tournament, and a tribute to the quality of Colonial Athletic Association soccer. These fans know when there's going to be a good match, and they've had one.
And as you saw, the Patriots with the ball in the green jerseys and William & Mary in the white as play continues at midfield. Kicked back in by David Schifrin for William & Mary. And leaving it here on the left flank for Michael Botta, junior out of Fairfax. A save on the touchline by Chris Scarfani, but unable to keep it from going across.
Good effort by Scarfani. I think they want to go to him a little bit more. He was actively involved in the beginning of the first half, not as actively involved after. He's the kind of player who can turn down the flank and maybe get in crosses from wide positions.
Another throw-in for George Mason. Kone, and he has it knocked off of the sideline and out of bounds. And again, George Mason will try and mount some sort of attack, and we'll see if they start looking a little more for Ferrandino.
Just got to look at Josh Quinter, who's come on. He's done an excellent job shutting down Musa Kone since he came on about the middle of the first half.
The ball into the offensive third for George Mason, trying to get some sort of quality shot on Grafer, unable to do so. Gasparini down the right flank, and here comes Chris Scrofani for the try to midfield for Billy Owens. Hustling after the ball, Greg Richards for William & Mary, but unable to get to it. And we'll have a whistle and a foul right at midfield, and we'll have the kick coming up for the Tribe.
Wade Barrett getting fouled that last time. Very, very active player, Wade Barrett. He can do even more than he did in the first half. He keeps moving around in the midfield. William & Mary is going to be very effective.
Now you saw the top two scorers in the CAA. It was Billy Owens half, although he didn't score. He had 5 shots on goal. A couple of them were real quality shots. You saw one of them on the first half highlights. But John Ferrandino was bottled up to the point where he did not get a shot away in that first half. So credit William & Mary's team defense on Ferrandino in the first 45 minutes. Mason perhaps will look for him more in the second half if they can get him the ball. So far, unable to do so.
In the first half, Mason played a lot to Vincent Marcatriciano in the midfield. He's technically an outstanding player, a very, very good playmaker. I think they need for him, though, to play the ball forward a little bit more quickly, try to capitalize on counterattacks. There were a couple of times when he held the ball, didn't lose it, but he allowed William & Mary players to get back and organize that very, very tough defense of theirs.
Musa Kone on the left flank. And marked off the ball there by Waughn Hughes. And a throw-in coming again for George Mason. Patriots looking to get a shot on Grafer, but it's swept out of there by David Schifrin and back towards midfield. Patriots again looking to set up the attack, but now they do so. They come in on goal, but it's marked away. Nice play by Quinter for William & Mary.
Nice play by Kachow, picked up that loose ball, it came forward, but Josh Quinter very steady in the tackle, makes a nice play in what was potentially a dangerous situation.
It will result in a corner kick here, though, for George Mason. Here comes the kick. It's a ground ball. Andy Manners tries to come up with it on the end line and can't do so.
Good job, ref.
First 5 minutes of the second half, no score. George Mason and William & Mary, another corner kick coming here for the Patriots as they look to muster an offensive attack.
You notice that Andy Manners is forward for this corner kick. He's a defender, but he's played up front a lot. He's very dangerous in front of goal.
And a line drive right on, and Grafer knifes through everybody to come up with the ball.
Mark Vida hits the ball very, very hard. He can strike it well with either foot. He drove that right for the near post, either for a flick on or maybe see if he could squeeze one in, but Paul Grafer was equal to the task.
Now Mason looking to apply some more pressure. They do so, getting the ball to Ferrandino on the right flank. He's marked by David Schifrin. Ferrandino tries to fight his way through, marked off the ball, but the Patriots come back up with it. Now at midfield, it's Steve Jolly. Jolly ahead to Billy Owens. Owens with those 5 shots in the first half came close but unable to score. And the Patriots didn't like that foul call.
He's a marked man. He got the ball that time in the middle of the park, and 3 green jerseys were around him when he came, tried to bring the ball forward.
Well, they're now doing to him what the Tribe is doing to John Ferrandino. But it will be the free kick here for William & Mary. Michael Botta lays it in on goal. Jolly with the header and right on, and the save made by Martin Nachman.
Fine play by Nachman. That's what William & Mary likes to do on a lot of their restarts. Go for Steve Jolly, superb athlete and a tremendous leaper. He's an excellent header of the ball, as we can see from the replay. Cross knocked into Jolly. He's at the far post, and Nachman measures and in perfect position to take it in.
Tell you what a career Steve Jolly has had in 3 years with William & Mary. A couple of times on the second team All-CAA. 94, he was a first team standout. Rookie of the Year his first season. So he's been really a great player for William & Mary.
He's an excellent player. He's a very emotional player. At times he can get thrown off his game, but when he gets into the game and really gets thinking positively and starts feeling good about it, gets his rhythm, he can dominate a match.
Those numbers allowed him to be tied for 10th in the CAA in points. this past season. Steve Jolly, the junior out of Virginia Beach. Good look at him. And William and Mary again on the attack to the midfield. 37 minutes to go here in the second half. Still no score. And the ball will go over the touchline on a throw-in again for George Mason. Cutshall with it. He's marked by Wade Barrett. And now Kone looking for an opening. He'll center for Kohler. And Kohler lost the ball. So George Mason starting to attack a little bit more now here in the second half.
Looking at Waughn Hughes, we talked about his drop in offensive productivity, but he did a good job coming back to the defensive end that time.
Throw in for George Mason. And coming out to get it is Grafer, and then he tripped over his own man. Was fortunate to hold on to that.
And he collected that ball at the very top of the box. One of the things about Paul Grafer is he has tremendous range. He can dominate the box in the air. He's not going to allow a goal by George Mason like James Madison allowed last Friday in the semifinals.
Near break for the Patriots, but unable to come up with it. And William and Mary, Scott Ritter clears it on out of there. Quinter with it on the right flank and into the midfield to Billy Owens. Owens looking ahead for Greg Richards, couldn't get it to him.
Tight marking on Billy Owens by Andy Manners, who's been assigned to him all day long. And Mark Ryan's been behind him.
Oh, a collision as Nachman goes down, and the Patriots fortunate there wasn't a Tribe offensive player there as Nachman and Gasparini collided.
It's a long throw-in, and here comes Jolly on the ball, and a big collision goes off the Mason defender, resulting in a corner.
So they were fortunate there, but still a dangerous situation with the corner kick coming up. Hughes ready to strike it. The low liner and the header attempted by David Schifrin goes over the top of the crossbar.
Very athletic player, David Schifrin. He's good in the air at about 6'2", 6'3". He can come forward on these restarts. They usually bring him forward for most restarts as we're looking at Hughes driving the ball. Low driven ball, and there's Schifrin on the end of it. That cross by Hughes, very effective at driven in hard. Those flighted balls that go high in the box are a lot easier for the keeper to handle. Players like Nachman, who's very aggressive coming out, and Grafer, who dominates the area, are going to just take those in very, very easily, where the driven ball causes a lot more problem.
Here's a great play by Chris Scrofani to come up with the ball. Looks to center it for Billy Owens, but he can't get there quickly enough. Scrofani made a good play to intercept the ball and go on the attack for William and Mary. Kone for the Patriots. And he loses it to Jolly. Jolly double-teamed on the sideline. Nice move by Scrofani. He's on the attack for William and Mary. He puts it in on goal and right at Nachman.
Needs to pull that ball back. Good job by Chris Scrofani coming down the side. He beat Gasparini, got in the cross. He's got to pull it back because Nachman will come out. He can get as far out as the penalty mark to collect these balls. The ball needs to be pulled back from the baseline.
And the kick by Nachman into the Patriots offensive zone. Kone, middle of the field, looking for Ferrandino, but the pass was intercepted, and then the foul call. As Michael Botta goes down, and Botta went after Kone after the whistle.
And David Schifrin in there as the enforcer. I saw Schifrin run for about 15 yards away. I thought he was going to go after Kone. Instead, he pushed Botta out of the way so he could have his word of wisdom for Mr. Kone.
Word of wisdom, huh?
Very, very hard foul by Kone. He's upset that he gave up the ball and Botta won it. Michael Botta has just been tremendous today. Quiet, unsung hero. He's hardly made a mistake today. He's made very few all season long. Mr. Steady for the Williamsburg, for the William and Mary player.
And as you said, you saw David Schifrin come in from nowhere to get his player out of there and then have one last parting shot before he got out of there, making sure his teammates didn't get in any trouble. William and Mary on the attack once again. Here's Barrett. Wade Barrett looking left side for Chris Scrofani. Scrofani with the centering pass and the shot by Jolly and a goal! William and Mary's on the board. Waughn Hughes punching it home.
We've talked about the fact that Waughn Hughes hasn't scored much this year, but this is the biggest one he may have scored in his entire career. Brilliant goal by Hughes. Hughes. Great effort by Scrofani and Jolly to get him the ball, and the Tribe's up 1-0.
The relentless attack by William and Mary, and the top-seeded Tribe has put the first one on the board. Take another look at this pretty action.
Wade Barrett knocks it out wide. Scrofani beats Melton to the ball, gets in, pulls the ball back to Jolly, who flicks it on from the near post, and here's Hughes running in from the far post, and the Tribe takes a 1-0 lead.
Take another look from a different angle. Look how close Nachman actually comes to that ball, but can't get to it.
Hughes using his extraordinary quickness to beat Nachman to the ball.
You could tell that Nachman knew what was coming, Richard. He just couldn't get there quick enough.
Waughn Hughes has waited a long time for that moment, and he's got to be the most happy, delighted guy on the field right now.
Well, it's a little bit of a belated birthday present. He turned 20 years old on Friday. I think he'll take it gift wrap today. Now George Mason coming back on the attack, trailing 1-0 with 32 minutes to go here in the second half. And isn't it ironic how much we talked today about Waughn Hughes and his lack of production compared with last year? I think he'll trade the 20 goals from last year for the 1 goal in the CAA championship match.
Well, at this moment now, but I'm not sure 1 goal is going to be enough to win this. George Mason has been a good offensive team all year long, and they're not done. They're going to put some pressure on the William Mary goal. Nice play just before that foul, again by David Schifrin, who's just been a tower of strength in the defense.
Oh yeah, they're bound to turn up the pressure a notch now as they try off of a kick, and the shot goes wide of the goal.
Very close call right away. Mark Ryan volleying that ball and narrowly missing. Grafer had it covered at the near post, but George Mason's going to get some more chances, and we're really going to test the George Mason, the William Mary defense. Kohler driving the ball in, the fight for the ball, and Ryan is there to drive the ball just high.
And now Paul Grafer, beg your pardon, to boot it away to midfield to Billy Owens. And now to Scrofani, and back to Steve Jolly, who was part of the goal just a moment ago for William and Mary. Owens at the top of the box with the back kick, and back to midfield. 1-0 William and Mary, 30 minutes to go here in the second half. And now the Patriots looking to get back on the attack. Alex Reyes into the game. He was a substitute just a moment ago. Looks to go to the left side. Ball knocked away by Wade Barrett, and Grafer comes up with it.
Terrific effort by Kotschow, but Grafer coming off his line to smother that before Kotschow can get a shot in.
Steve Jolly at midfield, leaving it for Waughn Hughes, the goal scorer. And into the offensive zone. Billy Owens, who's had the ball at his feet a lot today. John Ferrandino has not. He has been very quiet. Marco Trigiano with the ball at midfield. He loses it. Marcelo Gasparini comes up with it, and now Steve Jolly for the try. Billy Owens. Boy, they look for him a lot, don't they? Owens down the left flank. Looking to make a move. Makes a crossing pass. Intended for Greg Richards. And Nachman hustles out after the ball.
William and Mary is a team that likes to attack. This has always been a characteristic of squads coached by Al Albert. They're not going to sit back. They're going to go for the jugular, try to get another one.
Yeah, that's a good point. The jugular now would be a second goal with now under 30 minutes to go here in the second half. Billy Owens fighting at midfield, and again, more contact right at the midfield line, and this time they'll whistle Owens.
Richie Kotschow winning that ball. He's a warrior. He never quits. He's going to keep playing all 90 minutes. He gets inside, and Owens has to take him down.
But again, William and Mary clears out of there. It has been a physical game for the most part this afternoon, right from the outset. George Mason on the far side. Alex Reyes, who, as we said, is a substitute who just came into the game out of Falls Church, one of the, as we mentioned earlier, few Virginia players on this George Mason team. The recruiting philosophy that we talked about early on. Ferrandino trying to get the ball into the middle of the field, unable to do so, as Michael Botta comes up with it for William and Mary, and now to Scrofani. And he's had the ball a lot today. He and Owens have been the playmakers. Scrofani looking to make another play with the clearing of pass on the ground, and it's booted out of there.
Talked right at the beginning of this half about going down the left side and working wide, and William and Mary has done that. Chris Scrofani has caused all sorts of problems in the first 15 minutes of this half for the George Mason defense.
Billy Owens now setting up the corner kick, and Waughn Hughes will come over to take it for William and Mary. 1-0 William and Mary leading, trying to get a second goal now. Hughes on the corner kick for Albert's William and Mary Tribe, the #1 seed in the tournament. Headed out of there by George Mason, but kept in. It's the left foot kick by Wade Barrett.
That's where Wade Barrett needs to be, around the top of the box, making things happen. A good lesson there. He didn't really have a good chance on goal, but he shot anyway, gets a deflection, and now they've got a corner. You need to shoot, you need to take chances. This is what William and Mary does. If you fail to shoot, you fail to take shooting opportunities, you reduce your opportunities to score by 100%.
Yep. Waughn Hughes from the other corner. High centering pass, the header away. As Steve Jolly thought he had an opportunity, you saw him clapping his hands as he heads back upfield. And now George Mason looking to make a run. Look out, that one's coming right for you, Richard. And over our broadcast, perch and out of bounds.
Could have headed that one back in, but I can't jump like Steve Jolly can. I had no chance.
See, that's the difference with you and me. You went to head it, I went to catch it, which I'm not allowed to do, am I? Unless I was the goalkeeper, huh?
Watching David Schifrin head that ball out, he's just been a tower of strength in the William and Mary back today.
And a good header by Chris Scrofani. Boy, you're right. He really has played spectacularly today for William and Mary, shaking up a little bit in the semifinal game, but obviously out there today at full strength. Jolly to midfield. Wade Barrett looking to make a run. Still with it. Still with it. In on goal, and Nachman comes out to mark it away.
Big time save by Martin Nachman, and a great play by Wade Barrett. He went past two George Mason players, including Mark Ryan, and just missed getting it past Nachman.
That really was quite a play by Nachman. Take another look.
Barrett past Sikatchow, past Ryan, and Nachman out to the top of the box to deflect that ball away with his feet.
That was close as he came way out and made the save. George Mason now looking to make Paul Grafer work in the William and Mary goal, and is easily able to come up with that shot. 25 minutes to go here in the second half. 1-0 is the William and Mary lead. Billy Owens looking to make a play on goal, unable to do so, and Nachman kicks it back towards midfield.
Billy Owens is just a pesky player. He always causes trouble. He's running, battling for that ball constantly.
Alex Reyes for George Mason towards the goal. Marked off the play, however, by Quinter.
Good, Ritter.
That was a great way to describe Billy Owens. Pesky player. I like that.
Another pesky player, another dangerous player that's come on for George Mason about 10 minutes ago is Alex Reyes. They put him on for Musa Kone. He adds an element of speed alongside Mark Vida in the attack. He's the one that produced this corner down here.
Change now for the Tribe. Jeff Dominguez comes into the contest, and Greg Richards heads on out. For the last 24:30 of regulation, William and Mary leading 1-0. Dominguez right into the action with the header back to midfield, where it's kicked there by Gasparini.
Curious about that substitution. Greg Richards played very well in the first half. He may have tired a little bit, and that may be why Al Albert's bringing him off in favor of Jeff Dominguez. I think he may be back on. He's a terrific athlete, a real battler. He's good in the air, plays very, very good defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him back on again before this match is over.
And the coaches now starting to set their strategy for the stretch run all of a sudden. 1-0, William and Mary with the advantage. That one will roll all the way back to Martin Nachman in goal for the Patriots.
Spoke about strategy, Bob. It's very different on both ends. Al Albert is inclined to use more players, make more adjustments. We've already seen him use more substitutes today. Gordon Bradley does not substitute very often. He feels the thing to do is get the players on in the right positions and let them play the game. Very different philosophy on the part of these two coaches.
Two different ways to become winners, and both of them certainly are that. The all-time winningest coaches at their respective schools. Gordon Bradley finishing up his 11th year with 131 wins. And we mentioned Al Albert earlier at the 290 mark.
Some white hair in that beard on Al Albert's part now. I think it's from a lot of soccer games may have produced it.
Yeah, he'd like to get a few more gray hairs if that's what produces it here in the next couple of weeks with the NCAA tournament coming up. And there's what he's done just in recent history as he's really helped the Tribe just dominate this conference at the top of the standings every year, year in and year out. And William and Mary was in the championship game a year ago, as we mentioned, and did not get there. Lost to James Madison, didn't get the at-large berth that the Tribe thought they would get after an 18-3-1 season. Scrofani trying to make another play, unable to do so this time, but coming up with it is Michael Botta for William and Mary. The cross looking for Waughn Hughes over his head.
Michael Botta has not only shut down John Ferrandino, he's come forward and contributed to the attack. Does that man make any mistakes at all? He's just been fantastic today.
And he knew going in he'd have to play a near flawless game if it was he who was going to mark Ferrandino all day, and he's done a great job on him.
You need players like Michael Botta. Sure, you have your great athletes like Steve Jolly, and your players like Billy Owens are going to set scoring records, but you need players like Botta and Richards and Quinter and Scrofani. They're the guys that hold it all together, and it's a nice blend that William and Mary has. Good chemistry. I think this team can go real far. If they get in the NCAA tournament, they're going to cause some problems for whoever they play.
That is their goal, looking to get back there for the 6th time. William and Mary last there in 1993. Trying to make it 3 of the last 4 years. Down to 21 minutes to go. George Mason looking to mount an attack, down 1-0. As the play moves back towards midfield. And William and Mary will have a throw in on the far side.
Very impressed by the organization of George Mason, of William and Mary's defense against George Mason today. David Schifrin has just been marvelous, and once again, he's a player that hardly played at all when he started his career here. He's just worked really, really hard, become a valuable player. And, you know, we talk about scholarships and recruiting and national team players, and the top teams get those kind of players. If you look year in and year out, the top teams have a lot of players who weren't highly recruited, but just came to college and worked very, very hard, like David Schifrin. And it's a good lesson for young players. There's hard work and industry and perseverance will pay off.
Scrofani looks to clear it, and it's swept out of there. You know, you talk about that, and as a former coach, I would assume, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, that when a young man's career like that is up, you feel more gratified as a head coach to see the progression that a guy like that has made.
Bob, one of the most gratifying things for a coach is to watch a young man develop, both on the field and off the field. And it's nice to think you can have some small role in contributing to that young man's life.
Ball knocked out of there, but an attempt by Wade Barrett, and a follow shot goes over the top of the goal as it's deflected, as Waughn Hughes almost had himself another one.
Very opportunistic William and Mary is. Barrett took the shot, didn't quite get all of it. The rebound will come back out after Barrett's shot, and it goes back to Hughes at the top of the box, and he drives in a terrific save by Nachman. He's been tremendous today.
Now off the corner kick, the header comes out the other way, and trying to fire it back in is Chris Scrofani, and the Tribe will have another corner kick coming up.
We said at the beginning of the game that George Mason needed a big game from Nachman. He's turned it in. He's made several spectacular saves, and even the goal he really didn't have a chance for. It's a great goal by Hughes, following in the assist from Scrofani and Jolly. Martin Nachman, he's been the man of the match for Mason, no question.
Trying to keep the Tribe at bay here and give his team a chance in the remaining 20 minutes or so. Hughes off of the corner kick, and again Nachman punches it way up into the air and out of harm's way, at least for the moment. And George Mason with Alex Reyes looking to make an attack at midfield, but he's marked off the ball by Scott Ritter, and back to midfield where Mark Vita comes up with it. And the whistle and the foul, and the kick coming up for the Patriots.
Potentially dangerous situation, stymied by Scott Ritter, very, very short tackler.
In the middle of the field, John Ferrandino. Can he work some magic here in the last 18 and a half minutes with his Patriot teammates? And that one will be gathered in by William and Mary.
I see a little bit of frustration on the part of George Mason now. They've worked very, very hard. They've had a great tournament. They've had a great season, but they have been stymied by this tremendous William and Mary defense today. And for the first time, I see some heads hanging, and they're not going to quit. They'll stay with it. It's going to be tough to get that goal back.
15 minutes to go here in the second half. Paul Grafer, of course, in goal for William and Mary, has not allowed a goal in this tournament. The 5-0 victory over East Carolina on Thursday, then the Friday semifinal 2-0 win over American, and he has blanked the Patriots so far today. Barry leaving it for Steve Jolly, double teamed, and across to Hughes on the right flank. Hughes looks to kick it in close towards goal, and it's knocked out of there. Quinter comes back for the try for Scrofani on the near side. Looks to maintain his balance, can't do so, but the foul is whistled.
Talked about playing the ball wide and keeping it on the ground. Every time William and Mary has driven the ball wide to Scrofani at his feet on the left side, they've had chances, and their goal came from Scrofani's cross early in the second half.
Now the kick coming up. Scrofani eyes what's in front of the goal and then goes to work. With the left-footed boot, Hughes tries to head it, can't do so. Owens comes up with it, can't get a shot off. Hustling to the ball, Michael Botta to Billy Owens. Owens back out in front, shot and a save by Nachman again as Michael Botta had an opportunity going for the near post.
Is there anything Michael Botta doesn't do? This time he came forward, and he's a left-footed player, mind you. Comes forward, here's Owens winning the ball. There's a scramble. Botta strikes it with his right foot, and it takes a sensational save by Nachman to keep it out of the net.
Well, he really made a great play again to keep this a 1-0 match for William and Mary. Nachman preparing himself again for the corner kick from Waughn Hughes. Here it comes, and Nachman comes flying out of there to knock it away.
We also talked at the beginning of the show about how important it is to keep the ball on the ground for William Mary. The reason is this man right here. He is tremendous in the air. He has made a save on everything that's come at him in the air. He's going up for this ball, punching the ball with two hands, high, long, and wide. Classical goalkeeping by Martin Nachman.
Here's a look at the 5'11" junior. And he'll kick it away now for George Mason. Under 16 minutes to go now here in the second half. Good play by Scrofani again to mark the ball away at midfield as the Patriots look to regroup for the stretch run. Reyes loses it, and on the near side, Craig Melton comes up with it. And now Scrofani again. Nice save right on the touchline. But it will be a throw-in for George Mason. 15:30 to go. 1-0 Tribe on the goal by Waughn Hughes. And now the officials will stop play, and we'll get a substitution, I believe, for George Mason. And we do as Musicone comes back in, and Reyes goes out.
John Shields also coming in here, Bob. They're going back with the two starters. Kone and Shields are a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. Gordon Bradley wants that experience up top. Vida and Reyes are good players. They've got the speed, but Gordon Bradley feels he wants the veterans out there for the stretch run.
And there was Shields with the ball just a moment ago, number 21. Leaves it on the side for Craig Melton. Melton with the centering pass, and it's knocked out of there. Billy Owens hustling after it against Andy Manners of George Mason.
Andy Manners was not going to let Billy Owens come forward on that. He did everything but dance with him that time before Owens got the ball. A clear foul, and a wise foul. He didn't hack him down. He simply stayed with him, committed the foul, wasn't going to let Owens turn.
So the free kick coming for Waughn Hughes of the Tribe into the offensive third as he looks for Steve Jolly.
A little bit of frustration by Marcelo Gasparini that time. There's a little bit of extracurricular stuff off the ball between Jolly and Gasparini. Jolly's a very physical player. Gasparini allowed his frustration to get the best of him, and now William and Mary has a restart in the attacking third.
That's a good point, Richard. And you mentioned it, what, about 5-7 minutes ago that you sensed a little frustration after the goal by Hughes on the part of the Patriots. And it's tough not to get a little bit frustrated. in this type of situation.
Jolly going up for that ball at the far post. What an athletic player. He is over Gasparini, who himself is a very good header of the ball.
Now Nachman will boot it out of there for the Patriots to midfield, where it's headed back in by Scrofani, and he comes up with it, gets tripped down the near side, right in front of Al Albert, and Scrofani is shaken up as he took a hard tackle right in front of the William & Mary bench.
We are seeing a yellow card to Marcelo Gasparini. The frustrated player comes in very, very hard. Scrofani's got the ball, and Gasparini takes him down. They've got to get regrouped. They can't allow their frustrations to affect them in the back, because if William & Mary gets another goal, that could put it away.
Martin Nachman has been tested today as he has not been tested all year with the 8 saves. That is a season high. He goes up in the air to get it, can't do so. The ball was loose, but swept out of there by Vincent Marco Triggiano. And Billy Owens trying to get a shot away from the top of the box, unable to do so. And Chris Kohler comes up with it for the Patriots. Josh Quinter at the midfield line and back into the offensive zone.
We didn't think William & Mary would stop attacking, and they certainly haven't. They go for everything. As we said before, they're an excellent second ball team. Anything that bounces in the box, they are all over it. And they just won't stop coming, and they're a very hard team to play against for that reason.
Paul Grafer gets the kick away. Ferrandino was rushing him to force him to kick it quickly to midfield with 12.5 minutes to go. Slipping and falling, Craig Melton, and coming up with it is Scrofani again down the left flank for William & Mary, and he's flying into the offensive third for the Tribe. With the clearing shot on goal, and Nachman will watch that one sail over the top of the crossbar and out of play.
I've seen that picture a few times. Chris Scrofani coming down the left flank, and he's also coming from the side of the sun. And a couple times he's gotten in those crosses that have been very difficult for the keeper to see. Nachman missed one of them just recently, but he's come up big almost every other time.
That's an interesting point. From his right, from the offensive players attacking left, is that sunshine, and it could get right into Nachman's vision. Billy Owens back to Chris Scrofani, and Scrofani leaves it back towards midfield for Jeff Dominguez. Now Billy Owens has been marked very closely here in the second half after erupting for 5 shots in the first half. 1-0 William & Mary with 11:30 to go here in the second half. The goal by Waughn Hughes. Barrett, who's had a couple of opportunities, looking for another one, gets through a couple of defenders and finally marked off of the play just as he was streaking towards goal, and Billy Owens rolls one right in on Nachman.
It seems like every time William & Mary takes a shot and there's a rebound, there's another William & Mary player there looking for it. Rebounds are excellent opportunities to score, and the Tribe goes for every one of them.
You mentioned they're a good second ball team, coming up with rebound after rebound. And they have very much so held the offensive advantage in this match. Under 11 minutes to go. Probably George Mason's best scoring opportunity in the first 2 minutes of the game when they hit the crossbar very early on. Ferrandino with an opportunity to take a shot, but he's enveloped by 3 white-shirted Tribe players immediately.
Boy, are we not surprised by that. He's such a dangerous player. You let your eyes off him for a minute, and he can put the ball in the back of the net.
Corner kick coming, though, for George Mason. And before that, Mark Vida will step back onto the field for George Mason. Marcelo Gasparini come over to talk with Gordon Bradley just before the corner kick.
Mark Vida has come on for Craig Melton, who is the right back. Vida, an attacking player, so they're going to put an extra player forward, take the risk. They'll expose themselves in the back, but it doesn't make any difference if it's 2-0 or 1-0. You got to go for it if you're behind with 10 minutes to go. Grafer making that corner look like a routine walk in the park. He is just so dominant in the air.
Yeah, he really got up there, and You're right, he made it look very easy amidst a lot of traffic. Now William and Mary on the attack with the 1-0 lead. Chris Scrofani coming in on goal, gets the shot away, kicked out of there on the first try by Nachman. Scrofani had a second opportunity and couldn't get the clean shot away.
Has Martin Nachman been tremendous in this game? But he's going to wake up tonight probably with a nightmare of Chris Scrofani coming down the left side. It's like instant replay over and over and over again.
Here's the latest attempt by Scrofani as he had a clear path to the goal.
Great pass, putting him through by Jeff Dominguez. Driven ball to the near post, and Nachman's there once more.
Now Hughes with the corner, and Nachman goes up and gets it.
I think they'd learn, don't put anything near that man. He comes up with almost everything, but on the ground is where you're going to get your chances.
George Mason needs a chance or two now, down 1-0 with just under 9 minutes to go in our CAA championship match. Remember, the winner gets the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament field of 32 that will be announced tomorrow. And again, William and Mary looking to clear it out of there. Kone can't handle it. And booted to midfield, David Schifrin over the sideline. A throw in coming for the Patriots, and you can see them really starting to sense the urgency now.
George Mason playing with only 3 in the back, and Nachman is coming almost to midfield when the ball's down in the attacking third. I wonder if Nachman can score a goal today. He's done everything, but he's been absolutely sensational on the other end.
Yeah, you're right. Just glancing to our left, he's moved up closer and closer to midfield as the ball moves deeper and deeper into the offensive third for George Mason. And again, just kicked out of there by William and Mary with under 8 minutes to go. 1-0 try.
William and Mary semifinal win over American. American pushed players forward, and it was a counter-attacking goal by Steve Jolly against American's pressure to put the game out of reach.
The header attempt by Marcelo Gasparini goes wide right and out of play.
One of the reasons why Mark Vida, number 22, is back in is he has a tremendous throw-in, and that's how, again, they scored the second goal against James Madison in the semifinals. Vida is a very athletic player, and he can come forward and can contribute a lot.
1-0 is our score in the CAA Men's Soccer Championship. The only goal of the game from Waughn Hughes at 57-17 from Jolly and Scrofani on a brilliantly executed offensive rush by William and Mary. And that's Hughes with the ball, marked off it momentarily, but he comes back up with it. Nice footwork by Waughn Hughes, still with it, moving in on goal. Hughes is going to have an opportunity to Billy Owens, who has it knocked away. And now Dominguez comes up with it. Looks to get a shot off and can't do so. Owens tries to head it, and it's cleared out of there. I almost thought, Richard, it was one too many passes, that Hughes actually had the shot. Maybe a little too unselfish. And here come the Patriots. Oh, nice play, though, however, by Michael Botta again. The ball headed by David Schifrin. He's played well. Kone looking for an opening, can't find one. Chris Kohler into the middle of the field. Mark Vida trying to get a shot away, can't do so, and now we're at the 6-minute mark to go here in the second half.
We watched Wade Barrett, the dynamic midfielder for William and Mary, coming all the way back in the defense, playing both ways. That's what makes him such a fine player.
That pass will be picked off by Chris Scrofani again. Scrofani takes a hard tumble. Marcelo Gasparini comes up with it. Down to 5.5 minutes to go. Here comes the Patriots. But again, William and Mary able to clear it out of there. Billy Owens looking to control it for William and Mary. And onto the left flank for Steve Jolly. Jolly to midfield. Painter. And he'll just boot it down towards Martin Nachman in the George Mason goal. And again, he's coming out as far as he possibly can to get the ball back upfield. Here come the Patriots. John Shields, left side, looking to center. He's able to do so. Oh, it hit the crossbar again. The shot hit the crossbar, the underneath side of the crossbar. How close can you come?
The goal itself is part of a goalkeeper's equipment, and that ball went over Grafer and looked like it was in, just on the crossbar. Sometimes you have to be fortunate.
Here's another look.
Taking a little look again. Shields driving the ball. Grafer comes out to cut down the angle very well, but that ball had him beat, and it just hit the bar.
Well, that's one shot at the beginning of the game and one shot towards the end of the game for George Mason that they'll be thinking about. Off of the crossbar, one at either end of the field. Now down to 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Jolly at midfield to Wade Barrett, marked off the ball by Andy Manners. Manners to midfield, where Michael Botta is there for William and Mary. And now the Patriots with another attack. Cotshaw. He's marked off the play. And back comes William and Mary. But you can feel George Mason applying more and more pressure as they made the substitution to get more offensive players on the field.
Well, they've exposed themselves in a little bit in the back. William and Mary had a chance to counter there. Jolly chose instead to hold the ball up, and William and Mary didn't have the chance. George Mason had regrouped.
Ferrandino loses the ball on the touchline. It's been a tough day for John Ferrandino. He's never gotten untracked. And William and Mary will have the throw-in with 3:10 to go. This is not the way Ferrandino wants to see his career end at George Mason. He's still got 3 minutes to try and do something about it. Billy Owens rushing to the ball, trying to center it. It's blocked. A corner kick coming up for the Tribe.
Relentless pressure by William and Mary. This is a trademark of their team. They play at a very fast pace. They play very hard, and they never quit. They've played this way for 25 years, the 25 years that this man has been coaching them.
He's done a lot of things. Now he'd like to add a CAA tournament championship to his ledger. He's won a couple of CAA titles, of course, that were non-tournament situations, and finished first place in the regular season several times, but looking to take that trophy and banner back to Williamsburg for the first time.
1 year ago, a nationally ranked William and Mary team came into the conference final and lost to James Madison.
Here's Wade Barrett with a shot just wide of the left post.
A year ago, William and Mary thought for sure that even though they lost, they were going to the tournament. They did not get a bid. This time they've come to make sure, guarantee that they're in the tournament. As we look back at this shot by Wade Barrett, which goes just wide of the far post.
He did have an opportunity that could have sealed this match. Instead, George Mason still alive and breathing. But now down to the last 2 minutes, and the Patriots need to put on quite a rush here. We'll see if they can do it. Gasparini onto the right flank, looking for an opening. Jolly comes out to mark him. Jolly with the ball at midfield for William and Mary. The left side now for Scrofani. Appropriate, he's been there most of the day with the ball. Chris Scrofani, the senior out of Fairfax. Into the corner where he's marked by Marcelo Gasparini. And marked off the ball, and here come the Patriots. Now this could be one last rush to the offensive third for George Mason as we approach the 1 minute mark to go on the scoreboard. 1-0 William and Mary. Here comes Chris Kohler with a shot on goal that just goes wide as Grafer went diving out after.
We'd like to remind spectators to exit the area by using the paved walkway.
Under a minute to go as Grafer gets set for the goal kick. William and Mary 16-5, looking for its 17th win, the CAA Tournament Championship, and an automatic berth to the NCAA tourney. Barrett just boots it down towards the goal where Nachman has to go get it, and the clock continues to tick with 30 seconds to go. Nachman all the way out the midfield to kick it into the offensive third. And the Patriots get one more opportunity, probably not now. That'll be a throw-in for William and Mary with the game clock winding down. The Tribe about to win the CAA championship and come up with the automatic berth. The officials stop the clock with 9 seconds to go.
What a gallant effort by George Mason today. They're not going to win this game, it doesn't appear, unless a miracle takes place. But they are a very good team, and I'm hoping that they get a chance to go to the NCAA tournament and show it. They may not. They've got a number of losses this season that may cost them, but they've certainly come up big at tournament time, and Gordon Bradley and his players have nothing to be ashamed of. Tremendous effort all tournament long, all season long, culminating in a great effort in a losing cause today.
That's going to do it. The clock winds down. William and Mary, the Colonial Athletic Association men's soccer champions.
Please stay with us for the presentation of the championship trophy and the announcement of the tournament's most valuable player.
A year ago, it ended in bitter disappointment in Williamsburg. A year later in Harrisonburg, William and Mary is all smiles. The Tribe with its 17th win of the season, the CAA Tournament Championship, the CAA regular season first place team, and now the automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. Great feeling, you know, for goalkeeper Paul Grafer, his teammates, and head coach Al Albert.
Paul Grafer certainly had a large hand in this. We talked about it at the beginning. Had one ball hit the crossbar early on, one ball late, but in between that, he was magnificent, as he's been all year long and throughout his William and Mary career.
And isn't that something, Richard? You touched on it. The shot in the first half that hit the crossbar over Grafer's head, and then late in the game, the bookend finish. The crossbar shot again by George Mason.
We can't look back on that as being the only thing. You need to use any weapon you have. The crossbar kept him out, and Martin Nachman kept William and Mary out every single time except for one, and that was the difference in the game today. A goal by this man, number 4, Waughn Hughes. It's been a long drought this season, and he got one when they needed it the most.
The tastiest drink of water to end that drought, huh? In the CAA championship game, as we mentioned last year, he had 20 goals. He was a scoring machine. This year, far fewer, only 3 goals during the regular season. Yet he comes up with the goal that wins it all for William and Mary. And now the Tribe will wait and find out who they'll be playing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I know you feel, Richard, that this team is talented enough to get beyond that first round.
I think they are. I think they can beat a couple people. I think they're one of the top teams in the country, no question. I think regardless of this tournament, they deserve to be in the NCAAs.
The CAA championship trophy will be presented here momentarily to Coach Al Albert and his captains and the entire William and Mary team on the 1-0 victory over George Mason today. Waughn Hughes with the only goal. And Martin Nachman trying to be consoled, but I tell you, Richard, when he looks back on this game, he'll have nothing to be ashamed of. He played brilliantly.
Absolutely. We said that he was a difference in the season this year. He was almost a difference in this game today. If anybody at George Mason can hold their head high, and all these players can, Martin Nachman can hold his the highest.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please turn
Well, the reason Al Albert has a smile is because of the only goal of the game. It came off a brilliant play by William and Mary. Let's watch it again, Richard. It was started by Chris Scrofani down that left flank.
Pulls the ball back. Steve Jolly flicks the ball on from the near post, and Waughn Hughes running in from the far post puts the ball in the back of the net past Martin Nachman to send the Tribe to the NCAA tournament.
Don't go away. We'll be back with more. The CAA championship in the books. The Tribe takes home the trophy and the automatic berth to the NCAAs.